My name is Stacey Beal, and I am the High Conflict Relationship Coach at O'Connor Family Law. This week, we're gonna move forward. Something you may think will never be on the table for you, but you never know what life is going to bring. Blended families. What is a blended family? Blended families or step families are actually now really common in the United States. Today, we're gonna break down blended families, and at the end, I'm going to share two really great interviews I had with women who were part of a blended family playing the mother role for their children and others' children. So sometimes a blended family may mean you're marrying into a current family. It could be that you're in a relationship and you both have children of your own that are also going to be blending as well. So circumstances aside, in the beginning, it isn't always easy. And maybe it never really is easy. But today, we want to discover ways to have successful blended families. This won't happen overnight. It can take 2 to 5 years to really adapt to the blended family dynamic. The first few years can be really difficult for many families, but family members that respect each other might have a smoother transition. And you'll see that come out in both of the interviews I spoke about at the end. So it can really help to accept differences between an old and a new family. Acknowledge these things take time. So let bonds form at their own pace, and that might help your blended family succeed. Kids, how will they feel about this? A blended family or step family forms when you and your partner make that life together and you have children with one or both of the previous relationships. So the process of forming that new blended family can be rewarding, and it can be really a challenging experience. So while you as parents are likely excited and have great joy in the approach of a marriage again for a second time, your kids and your spouse's kids may not necessarily be as excited as you are. They might be unsure about what's going on. They might not be certain on the upcoming changes and how is this going to affect their relationship with their other biological parent, right? So they'll also be maybe worried about living with new step siblings. Some they may know, some they might not know, and others they actually might not even like, as if they might have known them prior. So some children may resist change, while you as a parent can become frustrated when your new family isn't functioning maybe the way as your previous one did in the beginning, or the way you hoped and dreamed it would. So while blending families is fairly easy, these tips can help you make sure that your new family is working through the growing pains. No matter how strained or difficult things seem at first, we have open communication, mutual respect, and plenty of love and patience, and you'll develop that close bond with your new stepchildren and make that successful blended family. So let's start first with some of the challenges that you might face. So what are some challenges for couples in a blended family? Stress in a new family situation is normal. The transition may appear to have gone well, and even then there's often stress. That term blended family might imply smooth, but early years of blended family are typically going to become difficult. It can take time for both of the families to get used to merging and coming together. That will really include many factors. Different parenting styles, discipline styles, developing new relationships, strong or conflicting emotions. These will occur even if everyone gets along before we live in the same space. So the couple may have a hard time getting used to their new role. One or both of the adults may need to learn how to parent stepchildren. Issues with stepchildren can also bring tension into your new developed relationship with your new partner. So some of these common blended challenges for couples include becoming a new parent. Some adults enter with no children of their own, so they're taking on a role as a parent for the very first time. Having a relationship with ex-partners and step-parents. When a relationship ends, people choose to move on and focus on their new partner. This could mean they stop communicating with their ex-partner, but this is often more complicated when we have children involved. Children want to probably stay close to both of their parents, and having a court-ordered parenting plan could require the children to spend time with each of their parents. So this means that the remarried parent must continue to speak in some way with their ex. So any of these situations can really increase tension between this new blended family. Strained relationships can make adjustments more difficult. So we started talking about how children will feel about this and how couples might feel about this, but what challenges will the children face in a blended family? So children, and especially older children, can become stressed by change. change. More changes means more stress. So children are affected by most of joining a blended family. They've already gone through a parent's divorce, right? And now they have to adjust to a new parent and new rules, and they might express frustration through behavioral or emotional outbursts. Relationship between the child and their new step-parent. So children are going to struggle with the feeling of a new step-parent. They might be used to treating their parents or parents' partner as a friend. They now have to become that blended family, which changes the dynamic. When their friend takes on the role of a parent, that child might end up feeling resentful. They may feel the new parental figure seeks to replace their other parent. So children might also be reluctant to trust a step-parent in the beginning. They may feel abandoned by that biological parent after a divorce. And when the child starts caring for a step-parent, they also might bring on some new emotional struggles. They may be worried that love for the step-parent becomes more than the love that they have for a biological parent. Their relationship between children and stepchildren, it's siblings. There's going to be rivalries. This is a whole new dimension for all of them. Children might feel they have to compete for your attention, and a child might also worry that the biological parent could prefer their step-sibling over themselves. So let's talk about the visitation and parenting plan. Visitation with the other parent can feel like trouble, right? The child might be used to spending unstructured family time every day. So a parenting plan can make their life less stressful by knowing that we have a set plan. It's not going to be spontaneous. So children can experience stress when structures they're used to start to crumble. Visitation can become really confusing. Scheduling conflicts can create tension. And by a conflict, I mean there might be a time that you and your new spouse and family have somewhere to go, but it's a time you have your other children. Having the conflict come up might be a time that we have to talk scheduling. New family members may have little time to really get used to each other. Children might complain about their step-parent and the non-residential parent. This can add to tension for what might already be a strained relationship between separated parents. So what are the tips? How can we make this transition to a blended family be successful? Some may consider family therapy. Many blended families find it helpful to attend a therapy session. It might ease the tension. It might help you walk into this new remarriage and learn to communicate better with each other. We want to plan ahead. This benefits adults, right? In planning to live or remarry. One way to really plan ahead in a blended family is think about potential issues. You might prepare by talking to your current partner and your children, address possible changes, discuss your parenting style, discuss positive ways to handle conflicts that come up. Changes in parenting can take place before the move-in date or marriage. In these cases, the transition to living together might even go more smoothly. Account for any non-residential parents. Determine how that parent is going to fit into your family. Again, this is going to be something we talk about in one of the interviews that I have. Acknowledge that children may wish to keep seeing that other parent, and it's part of the plan. So we want to make sure that that's a safe choice, right? And hopefully it is. So we want to make sure that you know to communicate properly with your ex. Another topic we have discussed is that good communication skill. Try to develop a civil relationship with that ex-partner. And again, we're not talking overnight. This was something we decided would probably take 2 to 5 years to do. Do this as you can, so it will help you not have that unhealthy relationship with each other. Decide how are you going to transition your children to your ex's household. Look for an approach that really works best for everyone. Pay attention to your children. Encouraging and showing affection can help ease their concerns. Your kids might be reluctant to a new step-parent. They might feel worried you love them less. You can reassure your kids you'll answer any questions that they have. Let them know you'll continue to discuss their feelings, remain open to their worries, their questions, and you really value the voice they have. Put tips like these into practice. It might be harder than expected, but healing these conflicts between members of a blended family might be overwhelming, but you can do it with these open communications and holding respect for each other. Start planning how the new family is going to function before you even remarry or move in together. So plan for that blended family. After having survived a painful divorce or separation and then managing to find a new loving relationship, it It might feel like you have a temptation to rush into remarriage and a blending of family without laying that solid concrete foundation. So take your time. Give everyone a chance to get used to each other and the idea of marriage and forming a new family. That alone is never an easy thing to do. Don't expect to fall in love with your partner's children overnight. Get to know them. I can't stress enough, this takes time. Find ways to experience real life together. So taking both sets of your children to a ball game is really a fun time. That's awesome to do, but doing that every day is not real life. So try to get the kids used to your partner and their children, if they have other children also, by having a real daily life situation. So make changes before you marry. Agree to your new partner. How are you going to parent together? How are you going to make necessary adjustments in parenting styles before you remarry? It'll make for that smoother transition we talked about, and your kids won't become angry at the new changes. Don't allow an ultimatum. Your kids or new partner may have put you in a situation where you have to feel like you have to choose between one of them. So remember that you want both sets of parents in your children's life. Insist on respect. Limit your expectations. You may have a lot of time, energy, love, and affection for your new partner's kids that they might not return immediately to you. So think of it as making that small investment that one day may yield a lot of investment, a bigger investment. Bond with your new blended family. You're going to increase your chances of successfully bonding with your new stepchildren by thinking about what they need. Their age, their gender, their personality are all not relevant, but children do have some basic needs. Children want to feel safe and secure. Children want to be able to count on their parents and step-parents. They need to feel loved. They need to see and feel your affection. Although it should come as a gradual process, feel value. Kids need to feel important. They don't want to feel unimportant or invisible when it comes to decision-making with the new blended family. Recognize their role in the family when you make any big decisions. Let your children make sure that they're heard and emotionally connected. Create that honest, open environment, free of judgment, which is going to help your kids feel heard and emotionally connected. We want them to feel connected to the new step-parent. Show them that you can view a situation from their perspective. Appreciate them, encourage them. Children of all ages really respond well to praise and encouragement. They like that feeling. Limits and boundaries. That's a big one. Children may not think that they need this. It might be something you didn't realize they need, but the lack of boundaries really sends a signal that the child is unworthy of their parents' time, their care, the attention. As a new step-parent, you don't want to step in and be the enforcer, but you're going to work with your partner to really set these limits on who is playing what role in the parenting of their children too. So let your stepchild kind of set the pace. Every child is different. They're going to decide how fast or slow they're able to go. And as you get to know them better, some kids might become more open and willing to engage. There may be shyer children, introverted children. They might need to have you slow down and give them more time to warm up. So given enough time, patience, and interest, most children will eventually give you a chance. Create that routine and ritual that helps you bond with your new family, your new stepchildren. Unite as one family. Incorporate a new family ritual, such as maybe you visit the beaches on Sunday. Maybe it's board games during a certain night of the week. A new special way to celebrate a birthday or a holiday. Establishing regular family meals, for example, that will also offer time for you to bond with your family, talk about your day, something that a lot of families aren't doing currently. So we really want to have that and help you form the bond with your new family. Help the children adjust. This is hard. All of these changes in your children's life are going to be difficult for them. Kids at different ages and gender really adjust differently to a blended family. The physical and emotional needs of a 2-year-old are different than a 13 to 15-year-old. So you might need to take longer to accept the love from children as they get older. So let's talk about young children under the age of 10. They might adjust easier because they thrive on a family relationship. They just love it. They're more accepting of new adults. They don't maybe feel like they're competing for their parents' attention, but they do have more daily needs that need to be met. Children ages 10 to 14, they might have the most difficult time adjusting to the step family. These are critical ages where the divorce was also hard, and now they're going through the new relationship that is bringing on step siblings or step parents. So they might need more time to bond before accepting a new person as a disciplinarian. may not demonstrate their feelings openly, but they might be more sensitive than the young children when it comes to needing the love, the support, discipline, and attention. Teenagers, 15 and older we're talking, they might have less involvement really in a step family. They might prefer to separate from the family as they really are working to form their own identities. They might not be open in their expression or affection, maybe not show their sensitivity as much, but they still want to feel important. They want to feel loved and know that this is a secure place. Both boys and girls in step families prefer verbal affection, praises, compliments, maybe not right away that physical closeness like hugs or kisses. That takes time. How do you strengthen your blended family? You know some of the things that you might go through, some of the tension, the hard parts, but now you've become this blended family. How do we keep it strong? Establish trust. It's so crucial to creating that strong blended family. At first, children might feel uncertain about their new family. They might resist your efforts to get to know them. They might not be sure what happens if you leave our family too. There's simply apprehension about having to share their parent maybe with a new spouse and now step siblings. So try not to take their negative attitudes personally. Build trust. Create clear boundaries. Discuss the role that every parent is going to play as things change. Let the biological parent really remain that primarily responsible person for discipline until the step parent has developed that solid bond with the children. Create a short list of family rules that you all agree upon. Maybe it's basic safety, being civil to each other, the conflicts that you have with rules, biological parents that you've already set with your children. Keep all parents involved. Now, again, you might be thinking, there's no way at this point in my life I'm going to be able to speak with my ex-partner. I'm ever going to have, a new marriage and a new relationship where children come in. But we have to keep this on the table. And the goal is that we create these really well bonded and blended families. So I know it's not for everybody, but how do we keep all parents involved? So children are going to adjust better to this blended family if they still have the access to both their biological parents. And it's important that we as parents are all involved and work toward a common goal, right? We want to collaborate together and not against each other. Let kids know that you and your ex-spouse are going to continue to love them. You're going to be there for them throughout their lives. Just because you have a new spouse isn't a replacement for mom. It isn't a replacement for dad or another person. It's just somebody else there for them to love and support. Communicate often and openly. Discuss everything. Now we're talking about with your ex-partner, right? Never keep emotions bottled up or hold grudges. Listen respectfully to one another. Provide opportunities for communication. Do things as families, games, sports, activities. Maintaining your marriage. You're newly married, right? Now we need to maintain that quality when you've blended a family. Newly remarried couples without children in their first few months, you work on your relationship. You get to go do things as a couple. But couples in a blended family are more often consumed with their children than each other. Everybody has sports, different schedules, different dinner times. Your children are at the soccer field. My children are at the football field. Somebody has to get to dance and cheerleading. We've just added more roles for the same two-person household. So instead of being consumed with just the children, you want to make sure that you still hold that strong bond with each other. If your children see the love, the respect, and the open communication between you and your spouse, they're going to feel more secure and more likely to model those same qualities. So set time as a couple. Make regular dates. Meet for lunch during school hours or while kids are at sports so that you still have time for yourself. Also, take that unified parenting approach to children. Don't argue and disagree in front of them. Try to encourage them to come to both of you. We don't want them to feel like they've come in between you. So create that unique family system. Here's one way to think of the differences between a blended and a more neutral, natural, nuclear family. Blended families, like a crock pot meal, while nuclear families, we put them together where we saute our meal, right? We were married, we had children together when we were ready. Purely biological families are seared together with that devotion for each other and love. Yet step families, we try more like that crock pot. We're stewing together slowly, taking that time to bond and become unbreakable. And who doesn't love a good crock pot meal? So stay the course. Don't give up. When things don't go as planned, it's okay. Think back to the beginning and remember why you came together in the first place. No relationship goes without its own set of challenges, and couples who can commit to overcoming these obstacles obstacles together and build that strong foundation to get through this issue, that's going to be where you have your most successful blended family. Remarried couples, we commit to success when you understand that you need to have that strong relationship between the two of you as you're blending, and be patient. So let's talk about those 2 interviews that I had with 2 women who are now part of a new married relationship. They've both got blended families. And the first one is really a big, huge blend. Now, this marriage started off really great. The separation and divorce was a huge surprise to this lady, although she should have seen it coming. Through her pregnancy, she felt her husband pulling away. She begged her husband to say what was going on, and that's when he finally said, "I'm not in love with you anymore." She was completely crushed. A few days later, they were scheduled to go on a vacation with their best friends and their 2 families together. They went on the trip. It was absolutely awful. She thought it was really strange that her husband was staying up much later than she and her children. They got home, they had a conversation. My husband swore nothing was going on, and so did the person he was with. He was seeing the other woman during their family vacation. So she lost out on her really great friendship, and that November, her husband left. She was devastated. She was angry. For the next few years, he kept her hanging on with little crumbs that she kept coming back for because she was really desperate to work things out. She wanted her boys to have the ideal family life, which she thought was a perfect family. She thought that they deserved. He blamed the fallout of their marriage on her, and now she realizes that he was really just displacing his guilt for what he felt onto her. So for years they weren't close, but they really worked hard to keep things together for their 2 children. But when he met his new wife, he didn't tell her. She found out from her 2 younger boys. So she was hurt and angry with him. It resulted in a lot of tension between the 2 of them, and they really stopped talking. And they hadn't even began their divorce proceedings at this time. She was still really hoping things were going to work out. A year later, they met with a mediator. They put things into motion. She was angry with him. She was feeling so guilty that her children weren't going to have their dad with them all the time. So right now they're sharing legal custody. She has the majority of the time. That was working for them. So over time, their agreement has loosened up considerably, and these days it's really fluid, especially because now the children are older. But let's talk this. Their court date was the turning point. They both basically cried through the whole thing. She saw remorse in him during this time, and they had an actual moment of a truthful conversation where he finally owned up to his part of not being faithful in the marriage and actually admitted his affair for the very first time to her. So that's when she was able to really forgive him and start trusting him. Again, we're talking years, 5 to 6 years after their marriage started to break. She decided one year on her birthday that she didn't want this drama anymore. She was over the pettiness, and soon after reached out to her ex's new partner, asked if they could start over, at which point they did. Let me tell you where they are now. They agreed to celebrate their children's birthdays together. That turned into Halloween together, Christmas morning, all of them coming together. And you know what? Her family doesn't like this. Her children are very happy, but her siblings and her mom and dad don't feel that this is right. She doesn't care because what she's looking at is what's the most important for her 2 children. So her new husband, he was okay with the situation of her spending a lot of time with her ex's new family as well. Her new partner started joining them for Christmas morning as well. They have fun together. The youngest of this client, their children have become best friends with dad's new wife's children that came into the picture as well. Both of the boys look at the new partner's daughter as a sister. This family now has taken a trip. So we're talking about a family that had unfaithful relationship and unfaithful marriage. And today, years later, and again, like we talked, 2 to 5 years, we're talking about 7 in this situation. They all went on one trip together. They had an absolute blast. And getting to experience that with her ex and their boys together and their new partners and their children was something years ago she never envisioned would happen. And at the beginning, remember, I said that sometimes we don't think this is on the table for us. And look how far this couple came through their divorce. So how did they get there? A big part of it was forgiveness. When she was able able to forgive. She was able to open her heart again. Things got better for their blended family. She ended up with the greatest love of her life. Her ex-husband is now with the love of his life. They both have blended families and they come together. So as much as things hurt, she's glad that everything happened the way it did. The second interview I had now has a total of 5 blended children living under the same roof. This woman said that the best thing to keep in mind is that no blend is the same. So never compare yours to somebody else's. The biggest and most important thing that they had was coming up with boundaries and structure and consistency. That really helped with the co-parenting and their children. When it came to interacting with the spouses as an ex, you have to remember at one point, your spouse loved this other parent. They created a life together. Despite all the differences, now we have to come together in the best interest for the kids. Sometimes as the extra bonus parent, you just can't cross it, she said. She can't really define it. She says she just knows when she has to back off. There's trials. You try, you fail, you learn. And even when you have the best intention, she says sometimes it doesn't work out. So give yourself grace. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Apologize and apologize to yourself sometimes too. She says there's so many feelings and emotions from everyone, the parents and the kids. And she found you have to block out everyone else's opinion and make the decision from your own heart and in your own mind. She felt that when she first divorced, it was a constant battle. Everyone was saying, take him to court for child support, get the custody. She did all of that. And then she moved an hour away. And she feels now, later in life, that that's her biggest regret. She listened to everybody else. Yes, child support is at times needed, but she felt that if she took what the state would have given her, it would have made an unlivable life for her ex-partner. So they worked things out together and they really now have drastic lifestyles. So who does it benefit to hurt the other people? So she feels that you should never ever speak badly about the other parent to the children, and she feels nothing good comes out of it. She tries to make sure to talk to all of them daily and really dive in weekly a little bit more into how they're doing. And even when they have those great grades and the poor grades, she's still there for them. Again, like we talked about, she said the most important time is finding that time with just her new husband. Their 5 kids are wonderful. They are all treated exactly the same. They all mostly stay in that house and just visit with their other parents for a weekend, but she is in charge of getting them to and from all activities. So it can be really stressful. So again, maintaining that time with your partner is super important. As you can see, there is a lot of great outcomes that happen in a blended family, but it takes time. In fact, it takes more than just time. It takes love, it takes respect, and it takes communication. Although there's going to be growing pains, squabbles, and moments of discipline, everyone eventually is going to adjust to this new situation. Mistakes will be made by children, by adults, and everyone's going to learn from them. Eventually, your house is going to feel a lot less of a mishmash and feel like one solid unit coming together. It takes time, but the result of the bond at the end is worth all of the effort that you're going to put in.